You know, I'm always trying to invite the door for people in these videos. I'm always trying to act like a fool to make you leave. So that way it's just like, come on man, just go away. Don't, it's okay. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe a like or a fucking comment or a subscription. I don't want that. I really don't. Please don't like fucking feel you need to do this. Like, it's okay to say that wasn't for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not what you think, okay? And that's okay. There's an invitation always to leave. Sometimes we come and sometimes we go. And it makes sense along the way that we have created our own sense of reality. When we have that point from ourselves to which we look out from, of course we're going to leave imprints. Of course you're going to tell me something. Of course you're going to explain to me thoughts and feelings and actions and justifications of self. Why wouldn't you? That's the whole point of life, isn't it? Subjectivity. So I'm okay with that. But I just need it understood. There's a temperance that needs to be set here. There is no expectation. For the only expectation I've ever had for myself is to complete the work that I'm working on. And along the way, sometimes I may have to speak on things, dwell on something, pick something up, explore it, argue with another thing, see the point of view of that last thing that was said. All of it is to create a sense of self. Through self is always a learning of another, and all the other is what's here now. So every time I sit down and write, I'm always trying to think of who are people and what are their thoughts and how can I justify what you think in my own mind. Even though it might go against everything I've ever believed in. Many times can you explore someone's thoughts that just fucking sicken you. Or they disturb you. Or they make something in you awaken and something dark that you never wanted to see. But that's okay. It's called self-exploration. Through others can you obtain self. And that's the whole point of these videos. But the whole point of this one here now is to say, that's what it is. And there's the door. There's nothing wrong with walking away. Alright, so put a little disclaimer in the beginning of this one. Man, oh man. I'm wondering if people are going to start thinking that this is a paranormal channel. And it's not. Maybe there's a tinge of that in certain elements. But generally it's about creation of a mythology and the exploration of self. And sometimes along the way we might find some interesting things. We might find that we do have some experiences and some things that aren't explainable. Like that fucking chick, whoever she was. But that's not the whole basis of it. I try not to limit myself to such a small thing, you know what I mean? That's not who I am as a person. It's too limiting because I literally never think about paranormal shit. You know, it does not come across to me like aliens and Bigfoot and ghosts or whatever like is in the realm of paranormal. It's just not my person. I'm more too concerned with growth of self, which is understanding mind and body in a sense. Body not so much right now, clearly, but like what's more important to me is trying to unravel this myth that has been just forming in my head. That's the whole point of this. It's not something I set about in my life to do. This is just what happened to it. Because there was a time where I had smaller interests and stuff, and I could go that route and just be really niche and like, this is a channel about the exploration of that stuff or whatever. Like I could, but it's just not, it doesn't interest me. The point of me talking about that video was, I was asked about shamanism and I said I don't have any experience in that. But here's some fucking crazy things that happened because I couldn't fill the time with me going like, sorry man, I've never met a shaman. because that's what I made a poll asking what should I talk about. So that was all I could think of. That's what came in that moment of like what to talk about. And there's a couple things I always try to say is you just gotta remember, these are stream of consciousness videos. These are not me coming up with scripts and shit and thinking about what can I talk about that's in the realm of what these videos are about. I don't think like that. I'm just moment by moment, and then whatever happens happens. But the major thing is the Forgotten series as of right now. That is what I'm working on as I'm letting the juices kind of awaken within. I finished book 2 draft, and I'm letting it kind of ferment in my mind before I look at it again and re-examine it and stuff. Because as I've been writing it, I've been kind of, just like my videos here, they're very stream of consciousness. So a lot of the times I just like, it comes and it goes, and I just follow the road and see what comes with it and how things, appear. But a lot of the times it goes out of the realm of explanation. So I have to kind of pause and like, okay, how can I work these things in the lore? What have I established in the past that's going to allow me to do such things that my characters need to do? So that's kind of where I am right now. So that means in the meantime, I'm trying to work on the Forgotten series, which is the chronicle of everything that came to be before the story of my books. This is like my Silmarillion, if you want to like think of it that way. And I think we're only into episode 4, and we haven't even gotten, halfway through the first section of how I break it down. So what'll happen is I'm going to break it down into seasons. I think I got at least 4 seasons. Each season will have, I don't know how many episodes, but this season's just called The Titans and the Aeon, Dove and Thys. That's just the first part. Once we go from there, then there's like 3 more seasons to explore, and each one's going to have at least 5 or 6 episodes. So it's kind of a long backstory. I mean, it's been worked on for, I don't know, 12 years or so of just coming together and compiling things and trying stuff. And you just look at the videos, man. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The Inner Thought series and the For You series doesn't seem to be that way, and I'm already noticing there's like a divide amongst people, not really like between them, but there's already people that are more concerned with the writing stuff, so the writing series and the Forgotten series and all the lore stuff, and there's the people that are like, oh, the personal weird guy that's looking at the camera and talking to himself, basically. I feel like he's my friend or something. There's that shit, so I'm trying to find a way to like blend this. My whole idea was the writing series is I'm talking before and sometimes after a writing session. So that's why it's called the writing series. I'll like talk about something, I'm like, okay, anyway, and then I'll go off and work on the novel. The Inner Thought series is just a normal person that's just like, here's what I'm thinking about right now. And I treat that as kind of like a dialogue to self, an exploration of what I'm thinking. I'm just regurgitating it out loud for you so you can see that. And the whole point of all this is to find an understanding. It's mostly for me to look at back and see my thoughts. That's what this whole channel was established for. But now there's like fucking almost 300 people that are at very least subscribed to it, which means about 70 of them will actually watch it. And then there's a bunch of new people coming in and just like, what is this? And then, okay, I guess I'll listen. So it's kind of weird for me right now. You have to understand. It almost feels like I'm sitting in my room talking to myself, and every once in a while someone pokes in the door, and I gotta be like, yes. And there's always there's a bunch of different types of people. There's the people that'll listen and go, that's interesting, which is the normal amount of people. Then there's the other people that come in with a little bit of their shit. They'll say like, yeah, well, it goes through like this, and I think this. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then there's that small percentage of people that come in arms crossed. Well, that was dumb. That was this. I don't like that. You should do this better. Like that weird shit. And I'm always like, this is not you, my friend. But I entertain them, at the very least. Just say, that's cool, man. I'll think about it. I find that to be weird. I really do. People are strange. Now, that's the whole point of this channel. It's just me being a human being, talking. I don't have an agenda. I don't have anything I'm trying to really like push out there. I don't have like crazy fucking theories. I don't ever want to be thought as someone who's I don't even know, an authority on anything, because I don't think I am. I'm just a fucking dude trying to figure shit out to help the mythology of my story feel realer and connect more with myself. Like what feels right. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not selling you ideas. I'm not selling you thoughts. I'm a fool. Like that's my character. I'm a fool, man. I just kind of go around bumbling through life, and whenever a big topic comes up, I'll have an opinion, but if you want me to explain it more, I'll say, I don't fucking know. Why would I know that shit? Because this is how I feel, you know? And I think you're just gonna have to remember that. If you really want to sit and watch this shit, for whatever fucking reason, just remember that I'm a fool. So it's just, this is how it's gotta be. But in saying that, I've already noticed how many people are right. You know what I'm talking about? When someone has an opinion, but they're right. Trust me, they're right. They're not having an opinion and going like, here's my opinion, blah, blah, blah. But I don't fucking know. They're always just like, arms crossed. You know what I mean? Like, and that's it. That's the truth. That is my truth. I just find that to be a little bit bewildering, just because of my actual mode of thinking is always like this. Where I could come up with some theory and you might find it profound. But when I listen back to it, I'm like, but I don't fucking know. I could be way off. Who the fuck knows? That's what I'm used to. So when I hear everyone having a fucking opinion, you know, or they bring their things in, which is fine. You can bring your stuff in, but don't understand me, or don't expect me to understand it. That's just how that's got to be. There's this long one that came up recently, and it went into like kind of race thingies, and it kind of went into like some weird shit, and I just thought like, it was in the brief glimpse video, and I was like, okay, this is a strange thing to encounter. So I basically had to say, dude, we're all the same. Doesn't matter what color you are, we're the same. We all feel the same way. And it's weird, it really is, but that's the way our world is treated. We have to believe, we have to think, and this is the stuff you have to think and be and act like, and don't worry, the rhetoric's there. Go ahead and get the book. So I find that to be interesting who walks into this room, which is how I'll always see it. If you're watching this, you're walking into this office with me and you're listening for some fucking reason. I still can't grasp why. Because I don't have anything. You know, I'm not sitting here with info, or I don't have knowledge for you. I don't think. Because if I did, I feel like I would think of it as knowledge, you know. I'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm writing a fucking book and I'm smart, you know. But no, I don't. Every time we have these discussions, I just feel a little bit dumber, you know. I think it's mostly because I try to approach as much as I can without ego, and just something is channeling through me when I'm talking about certain things. You'll see it happen in real time. We'll talk about a subject and all of a sudden we'll hit something, and all of a sudden I'm talking about things that even I'm like, what the fuck? What does that mean? I don't know where that comes from. I know it's not just me. It's something else, and that's how I'll always see it. So I don't want to ever claim like, oh, I hold the knowledge of truth, you know, like, no, nobody does. A lot of people think they do, but that's the knowledge of which they gain in the time that they've had it, and from that point they've established it and mirrored it to the society that they see, and in mirroring it to the society that they see, they're able to use that as their focus and use it as the lens that they look through, in which they can perceive the world around them. That's all that fucking is. And it feels right to them, because if it's not, then they are living a lie, and they don't want to admit that. So it's got to be, this is right. I know what this is. I know because it's right. And that's just how people are, and that's fine. Because how else should you be? You know, what's the point of living if that's the fucking, if you don't have something that makes you feel like you understand this place? Because I think at the end of the day, grasping the concept in which we dwell in this world is about the only thing that really holds us here, even though it feels like, no, you're material. You're held here because you're in a material world, and material objects and you know, whatever it is, the clothes, the ground I'm standing on, my fucking face, they're all material things, so why wouldn't it work here? It's almost as if it's a created order. And we can think of it any way we want. So in my mind, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you think that there is a knowledge out there that you can obtain, and you might have a glimmer of it, and you need to pass it to other people. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't you? I'm not blaming you for that. I just try to tell people to temper that with a little bit of like, you know, just don't have so much of an ego about it, is kind of my mode of thinking. The reason, I think, when you walk in a room and I'm just, like, for instance, I'm just speaking like this, I could understand how you'd think it was the other way around. I could understand what YouTube does to people. It makes us, it's just weird. It really is. Like, can you imagine, like, okay, we're talking, pretend you're actually in this office with me and we're talking. And I'm like, yeah, so like, I'm working on this book and here's this crazy shit and I don't know how to feel about it. Just like a human being. And you're like, yeah, that is interesting, whatever. In my life, blah, blah, blah. And we're just literally having a conversation. YouTube is like some guy walking in a room and going like, yeah, I think that you guys need to talk louder because I can't hear you from down there. And the lighting sucks in that room. You should turn some lights on and maybe dampen some of the sound because your voice echoes too much. And then we're both kind of like, yeah, okay. Very interesting thoughts, I suppose. You know what I mean? Or like, weird stuff like, one of the videos, I had a comment that just says, do you smoke weed? Do you smoke weed? And I'm like, no, I haven't done like 10 years, man. But imagine we're talking and someone's like, do you guys smoke weed? And then you just look over and go, oh, no, do I need to? That's how it feels. I think people will forget that because I think they're just watching these videos and it's like TV. They think that, oh, this is just some guy trying to entertain me. Or some guy trying to sell me something or trying to make me believe something, because that's a lot of what society is understood in this world. Or I'm trying to tell you of an opinion, I'm trying to make you think like, yeah, and you should think this way too about fucking fascism or I don't know, whatever. So I think in forgetting that, you forget to realize that there are some channels in the world that are just fucking people talking. Why do you think I don't tell you to subscribe or tell you to give me a like? Or I like to have comments because I want to know what the fuck, if it means anything. But if you don't want it, I don't give a shit. It's okay. Not a big deal. You know, I'm okay with that. I like to mostly have comments if I'm talking about my book stuff. Or I'm like, come on, man, give me a little bit of feedback. But generally, it's not a big deal because I'm like, you're an adult. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe to this channel. Make you feel like you need to help me with an algorithm thing. Like, no, it's not a big deal. I really don't give a shit. I'm not here for views. And I think that's what makes all of this extremely difficult. I'm just here talking, that's it. I have opinions. You might find some opinions that I have out of taste or not good in some way, shape, or form to some modern understanding of what is good and bad. And that's fine. But I'm not here to please, you know, or I'm not here to make you believe something. You can if you want, but I'm not here for that. And I think that's the best way to understand this. It's just, I'm a fucking person, man. Like, I'm not what we think the world is, you know, or what we've expected it to be, or experience is. Like, I'm not your experience. Does that make sense? So I don't want to treat you like my experience, and sometimes I may, because guess what? I mean, why wouldn't I? I'm a human. We have things called emotions, even though we pretend we don't sometimes. Which is okay. But I think if we just understand that this is how life is, and people have feelings about stuff, and we've experienced different things, you have a tinge of something different that I don't understand. Like big city living, right? Someone might come at me because they lived in this multicultural, large city, and it's full of commerce and, you know, whatever the fuck else is in cities. I didn't come up that way. So I'm not going to come at this world with the same, like, yes, and this is what everything should be, and we love these things and buildings, and oh, I love cities and roads. Not everyone feels the same way because we didn't experience that. I grew up in a trailer park. I grew up in a world that was 90-something% white people. Like, I'm going to have that experience in my life. And anytime I came up to someone that wasn't like me, it was not necessarily positive. Just because of, you have that kind of poor people mentality. in certain places. So I'm tinged with certain things that maybe you don't understand, but that doesn't mean dismissal. I think that's a weakness. If I'm going to have an opinion about that, I think that is a weakness, to just dismiss an opinion or dismiss a experience, if you want. I think in a modern term is what you'd say, my lived experience. But like, I feel like I have to kind of make a video where I'm saying like, I'm just temper your expectations, man. I'm not gonna come out here and be something, you know, higher quality videos and more intricate scripts for these topics, and I'm gonna have flashing to goddamn images while I'm talking to help invoke certain things, because the algorithm tells me that after 30 seconds most people tune out. I'm just kind of like, well, fuck them. I'm not gonna sit and please some dumbass that can't, I'm sorry, some person that just can't goddamn pay attention for 30 seconds. Like, that's not, I don't want that person around. You know what I mean? Like, that's annoying to like have to constantly like, hey, pay attention, you know? Like, no, I'm good. I'm not living that life, because that's annoying. If you gotta go, you gotta go. That's all that is, you know? This video is kind of my invitation to the door. Like, if you're not into any of that, just go. Not a big deal. I'm not gonna be butthurt about it. If I woke up and 300 subscribers turned to 150, I'm like, good, that's fine, because we got some realness going on here. Now we can move forward in this. But I'll have one last point. I don't even know why this is a thing. You know? I question that all the time. I'll listen to other YouTubers and hear them talk and I cringe, you know? I'm like, oh God, because he's like, and yes, so like, this is why we need to think this, and or like, and then here's what this guy's saying in the news, and this is what we think it's because of this, so and he's like judging and being weird about stuff, or, you know, their channels about like looking at politics and always but I wouldn't have done that, and that's dumb, trust me, or whatever the fuck else. It's always like opinions and shit. And I just, every time I look at it, it makes me think like, oh God, I'm a part of that. And that kind of grosses me out a little bit, you know? Or like when you look at YouTube videos of somebody talking about another person's work. My channel is about the lore of Lord of the Rings. And to see that they get monetized, I'm like, oh, it grosses me out. It does, because I'm just like, man, it's so fucked. It really is. It's weird. I can't imagine finding a channel, like I publish my books and it's a thing, and I find this YouTube channels of people talking about it, and I find out they're getting paid. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's disgusting. Like, what are you doing? You know? I'm like, don't do that. Do you? Don't do that shit. You can like something, but come on now. And so that's kind of why I'm always a little bit leery. You know, I'm always trying to invite the door for people in these videos. I'm always trying to act like a fool to make you leave. So that way it's just like, come on man, just go away. Don't, it's okay. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe a like or a fucking comment or a subscription. I don't want that. I really don't. Please don't like fucking feel you need to do this. Like, it's okay to say that wasn't for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do it almost every fucking day. Hell, there are certain YouTube channels I watch for years and have never subscribed to them. I don't know why. Because I'm waiting. I'm like, you haven't said the right thing to make me want to really commit. I'm still waiting. It's been a few years. Come on, man. You got this. That's fine. That's absolutely okay. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for fame or for, I don't know, whatever else. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because a voice inside me told me to do it. Same reason I'm writing the damn book. And the same reason I've committed to the things I've committed to in my life. Because there's a fucking force in my life that's telling me these are the things you need to do and you need to do them right. I listen to that. And that's all I can really do. But yeah, that's about all I can really say. I don't even know what I would call this video. Something about the channel, an invitation to the door. Something like that.